Gman, here we go. Episode 2. Quite a bit to talk about.
Load to talk about. And if it's anything like last week, it's going to be a good show.
Yeah, I feel like, obviously, this conversation is going to be dominated by CANELO, Crawford, maybe Jake Paul on the end of it as well. But I do want to pay respect to what happened on the weekend. Mm-hmm. Some big fights on the weekend. Obviously, none bigger than Benavidez Morale. We were very excited about it. Did it deliver?
I think it did. I thought it was a great fight. I really did. I enjoyed it. Benavidez, if I didn't already think he was a great pressure fighter, he showed it there. And he showed it against a guy who was accurate, who was fast, and had a big punch.
Yeah.
So it shows that Benavidez is the kind of guy where it's like, okay, doesn't matter if you're Demetrius Andre, doesn't matter if you're Caliplant, I'm still going to come forward and I'm going to hit you wherever I can. Don't care how big a puncher you are.
Yeah, no, it's a great way of thinking about it. I almost felt like it was a showcase event for Benavidez. I thought the fight was sold well. I thought him and Morale were fantastic in terms of the way they antagonized each other. Every time they saw each other, a belt got thrown, a punch got thrown, there was a push and a shove. But in the ring, ultimately, they delivered. You can do all that. You can do all that to sell the fight, and then the fight can be a dud. But they did all that, and I thought they delivered. And look, I want to give Benavidez his credit and his plaudits. Rightly so, he was the victor. But I thought Morale was fantastic.
Man.
Morale was so good, he made me think he could beat Boazzi and Yard without a problem.
That's literally what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It made me look at... I already looked at Dave Morrell and thought, you are very good. You know, this is a good fight. This is a competitive fight. And I think no different after seeing that. I'm like, if you put him in there with Caleb Smith, Joshua Boazzi, Anthony Yard, as far as I'm concerned, beats them all.
Yeah.
Beats them all.
Yeah. And I say that with knowing those guys, and, you know, hopefully they don't get upset with me saying this, but I can only go on what I saw.
Yeah.
And I saw him in there against a Benavidez who I thought looked like a monster, like a monster. And he held his own up until the 12th round. I mean, it was a legit knockdown in the 11th.
Yeah, I thought that.
He took a lot of Benavidez's punches as well. So he's got a chin. He's got a gas tank. He was inexperienced. Give that boy 2 or 3 more big fights. He's going to be a problem, Morale.
Man, 12. This was his 12th pro fight.
Wow.
Right? Like, it's crazy, isn't it? Benavidez is 30. This was his 12th. He was getting hit to the body over and over and over again. If he had any chinks in his armor, you would have seen him. At the very least, he would have took a knee at some point. No, kept coming.
Yeah, he didn't. But Benavidez, dude.
Oh, man.
Dude. I said to someone that I want to see the numbers. I don't know if PBC and Amazon are going to release the numbers. Every time they're not a certain number, they won't release it. If it's higher than 500,000, you're going to know about it. So I'm guessing this isn't going to be said. But I think there's a superstar there. I think he delivers in the ring. He delivers outside the ring. You know what you're getting. You're getting Margarito and Miguel Cotto almost rolled in one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're getting a guy that walks you down and a guy that when he does walk you down, it's punches and bunches. He's frightening.
He's not afraid of anyone. He wants the big fights. You know, people...
You know he's coming Saudi. He's going to be ringside for Beterbiev Bivol because he wants... If it's Beterbiev, I think he's going to try and get in the ring. And I said, if I'm in the ring, I will happily give him the mic to say some stuff because I want to see that fight if it happens.
Mate, could you imagine Beterbiev versus Benavidez? That would be... You know, when people say that fight would be... No, that fight would be carnage. Carnage and then some.
Yeah, the damage that they would inflict on each other. Oh, gosh.
No.
It's actually scary to think about the damage they'll inflict. But look, that's Benavidez. Morale, that's done. Clarissa Shields fought on Sunday. She fought Danielle Perkins, who I think had only had 5 fights, and you could see it. 42 years of age. Clarissa is a freeweight undisputed champion. Congratulations to her. But she's going to get no plaudits. You don't get any plaudits being an undisputed champion beating that. I mean, I'll give you plaudits. She went up in weight. I think she weighed at 175 pounds or something like that. But Clarissa should not be in the ring with these type of fighters.
No, she shouldn't. And I think the problem with Clarissa is the bigger fights are all probably way out of her reach in terms of weight, safely anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sure Clarissa looks at the likes of Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, and, you know, she's trying to say, look, I'm on par with them. And it's like, okay, well, can you fight them? And it's like, instead of going down, it's going up because I don't think she can safely make a weight like that. No. There's no way.
Yeah, I even asked her when I spoke to her a few days ago, look, could you make 147? And she said, will they pay me? And I think she's talking about getting paid.
Yeah.
Because she fought at 175. Clarissa's thick.
Yeah.
You know, thick legs, thick torso. She ain't cutting 30 pounds anywhere.
No,
it's impossible. She's a 160 person minimum now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you think about it like this. Katie Taylor, 135, 140. Serrano, I mean, she's fought as low as
120.
flyweight.
Yeah, she's really a 126er.
Yeah, so, you know, if you go and say, oh, you've come up here, it's like, yeah, but like, you're talking about girls, small girls. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
I feel sorry for her because she's only 29, I think, Clarissa. Obviously, double Olympic Games gold medalist, free weight undisputed, and she should be the face of female boxing. She probably is, but she should be in exciting fights every other 4 or 5 months. And she's not because Dimitri Salita can't find her opponents. There's no one like... Where is the Clarissa coming out of the Olympics?
Oh, there isn't.
Like, where is Clarissa?
I haven't seen any.
There isn't anything. So I don't know what she does. But look, good win for her. Good win as well for Adam Azim. Sergey Lipnitz stopped him in the 9th round, was it?
9th round. Yeah. He's only the second guy to ever stop Sergey Lipnitz. I have to say, look, when Adam Azim first came on, he was fighting the Ryland Charlton. So I was like, yeah, he's flashy, but you know, he is looking. The last 2 fights, he has looked really good. I'm really liking it.
He's looked red hot.
Oh,
I have to admit, he's looked red hot. I think he's doing really good things with Shane McGuigan. I think they're taking the right fights as well. I think O'Hara Davis was a good matchup.
Yeah. Because
he's more experienced. O'Hara Davis has been to that world level. You beat him, you stopped him, and now Lipinets, and let's not forget, Lipinets beat Robbie Davis Jr. recently. So he's no scrub. I know like people like to say he's not at his best. Yes, he's not at his best anymore, but he's still experienced, still can win fights. And Adam Azim destroyed him.
Former world champion.
Yeah.
Sergey Lipinets, we forget that. Mikey Garcia went the distance with him. That was the Mikey Garcia as well. So he is no slouch. Yeah. Tough guy. If you are any chinks in your armour, he'll find you out. Adam Azim, none on the night.
Adam Azim, Dalton Smith, who wins right now? You knew the question was coming. You knew the question was coming.
You put me on the spot with that one right away. If it was made right now, hand on heart, I would just slightly just edge the Dalton Smith.
Okay.
I've always felt that he had the edge, but that was prior to the last 2 fights. I was thinking Dalton Smith every day. I'm a little bit unsure now, but I still think Dalton Smith is a tremendous talent.
Yeah,
I think he's tremendous.
Yeah, I think Dalton's fantastic. I think Dalton's very good at everything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's elite at something yet, but that will come when the challenges get bigger. But I think he's very, very good at everything. Same with Adam. Obviously, Adam's got elite hand speed.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, he's got elite hand speed, and it looks like he can take a crack as well. I'm so in favour of this fight happening now. I hate the talk, and you might be different, but I hate the narrative of, oh, wait till they both become world champions. I'm like, who says they're both going to become world champions? This is the 140-pound division. It's full of sharks.
Listen, when we wanted to see James DeGale and George Groves, did they say wait till they become world champion? Because we would have been waiting years. No. And did it hurt either of them? No. Yeah. It didn't. It didn't affect them. It didn't affect them at all. Make the fight. That's what I got to say. People want to see it. We all talk about it. We all want to see it. No matter what, whenever Adam Azim or Dalton Smith fight, it's just going to be, oh, when are you fighting Dalton Smith? When are you fighting Adam Azim? No matter what they do, even if one of them picks up a world title, when are you fighting Dalton Smith? When are you fighting Adam Azim?
And I think both need it.
Yeah.
Both are not big ticket sellers.
Nope.
And they're not big ticket sellers because they've not had the right dance partner. They're both fantastic dance partners for each other. I thought I saw Shane McGuigan on the Toe to Toe podcast saying Dalton Smith's not a big ticket seller, nor is Adam Azim. But I think together they could do a nice arena. Yes, maybe not the Co-op or the O2 big arenas, but M&S Bank Arena.
Yeah.
I mean, Copper Box easily. Let's
easily
do it and let's see who is the man over here. And then go to world level. I hate the idea of jumping to world level or wanting a world title fight before we even know if you're the best in Britain.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, right, let's say they do make the fight. Does the Copper Box, let's say Adam Azim loses. He's 22 years old.
Yes.
You don't know how good Dalton Smith is going to be in the future. He could go on and be, one of the best. And you're like, oh, that loss doesn't look so bad then. He can come again. He's only 22. Likewise, Dalton Smith's not even 30 yet.
Yeah, I just hope we don't get a Kelbrook Amir Khan situation where they seem to be circling each other for a whole decade and then they fight when they're done. Neither have fought ever again. Neither are going to fight ever again. All right, I know you guys didn't tune in for that. You tuned in for this. What in the hell is going on with CANELO Crawford? On Tuesday, Ring Magazine, and I take the Ring Magazine's word because Ring Magazine is owned by Turkey, and Turkey wouldn't have given it the green light for that story to go out unless it was true. Ring Magazine on Tuesday said Crawford versus CANELO or CANELO versus Crawford is on. It even gave us a date. It even gave us a stadium. Thursday, 2 days later, the fight, according to Ring Magazine, is now off. Can you fill in the blanks for me here? What's happened?
Mate, that is just painful what you said. That's like, talk about emotions over 48 hours.
Dude.
It's like, Tuesday, arena date, we were so happy. Yeah. I was like, yes, this is a mega fight. Yeah, it's a long way in the future. It's 8 months, but we've got it. And then today it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I woke up to that this morning.
Okay. Do you believe the fight was ever on?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you believe now that the fight is 100% off?
Oh.
Or you believe that it's been stalled?
I think stalled is the best word. I think stalled.
Yeah.
Because this is not like, it's not like we're in the month of, say, like July, and they're saying, oh, fight's announced for September, and now it's off. You're thinking, Christ, there's only so much time you can get the market in. It's February.
Yeah.
September's a long way away.
Yeah.
It's more than half a year away.
Which surprised me with the announcement. I'm thinking, I mean, look, I know Turkey and Ring Magazine and Riyadh Season, especially Riyadh Season, like to announce things months in advance, but never this far in advance.
No.
Like, why would you announce something in February for September?
And if you think about it,
I found it weird.
Turkey loves to announce the big fights and then surprise us with the undercard as well. So it's like, it's not just that I've got, Crawford versus Canelo done. I've got XYZ on the undercard.
Yeah.
It'd be weird for them to just do their own press conference and you'd be kind of speculating for months. Well, who's going to be on this show? So
I feel like someone, and I did a video earlier on my YouTube channel, and I said that someone being Canelo, I said, oh, 1 second, what are you announcing this for? Like, I've not agreed. Maybe I've verbally agreed, but we've not crossed the dots and whatever the phrase is. We've not done that yet. And I feel like Canelo's almost been the one that said no.
Yeah.
Crawford's been chasing Canelo for a year and a half. Ever since he beat Errol Spence, he wanted Canelo. I almost feel like the issue here lies with Canelo and Canelo's team either not being happy that it's been leaked and the story's been put out there, or like, oh, this ain't how we do business. Like, I've been in the biggest fight ever in the history of the sport. This is how I do business. Come to my party or there's no party.
Canelo was the sort of guy where, do you remember before he fought Golovkin the first time? It was like, I'm fighting Chavez Jr. in May, and as soon as that fight ends, then he announced it in the ring, then it's Golovkin. Do not mention him before that.
Interesting.
Canelo is the sort of guy where it's like, if I'm fighting in May, that's who I'm fighting. Do not mention anyone. I think wasn't it the Berlanga fight where Turkey was kind of, and I know Turkey wasn't working with Canelo, but he was saying this, and Canelo was like, I'm fighting Berlanga.
Yeah.
Leave it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy Canelo is. It's like, I'm thinking my next fight. I'm not thinking the one after. I'm not thinking 6 months ahead. It's my next fight.
Okay, that's the perfect segue then. Because the rumours are circulating. Everyone's going mad. You're rolling your eyes. I've kind of rolled my eyes already. That next fight, Eddie Hearn mentioned it. Cynthia Conte, who I've got a great deal of respect in America, good boxing knowledge, mentioned it as well on Twitter. We're filming this on Thursday, mentioned it this evening. Jake Paul Canelo is a real thing. Not saying it's a done thing. It's a very real thing. And I think the numbers are so big, it has to be real. Like, if you are Netflix, yeah, and you got in touch with Nikisha and you got in touch with Jake Paul and he said, look, you guys smashed it out of the park for Mike Tyson. Yeah. What's next? Like, Netflix must be like, okay, guys, what have you got next for us? And they go down the list and they're like, okay, Conor McGregor can't fight because of the UFC contract. Who else? Tony Bellew, no, we don't really know him. No, Canelo? Yeah, and of course. And then they reach out to Canelo and say, look, dude, 200 million, fancy it? Or 150 million. Canelo's like, of course I fancy it. What, 100 to fight you? Where do I sign? I think it's a real thing because Canelo clearly didn't want to fight Benavidez. He's almost checked out of taking the real challenges. Now it's just a case of money, and I don't blame him. It's been a near 20-year career. He just wants to get paid.
He just wants to get paid. I'm sure if Netflix went to him and said, do you want to fight Jake Paul for 100, 150 mil? He's thinking free money.
Yeah.
Free money. Where do I sign?
He's not thinking this will harm the way people view me?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think with Canelo, if he worried about how people viewed him, he would have fought Dave Benavidez. And I think he wouldn't. Dave Benavidez said on Andre Ward's show, they offered me, what was it, $5 million. I said, yeah, I'll take it. I heard nothing. I think Canelo's just gone past that point now. Yeah. He's gone past the point of what will the people say, what will the...
Can you go from Jake Paul to Crawford? Shouldn't it be Crawford, Jake Paul? Like, can you have, quote unquote, a Mickey Mouse fight and then go into the fight that determines the best fight of this generation? Shouldn't it be Crawford, win or lose? You then maybe hang up the gloves and have the Jake Paul one. I find it weird how you can be a serious fighter and have a Jake Paul fight and then go back to being a serious fighter. I just don't like the idea of it.
It doesn't make any sense to me in that regard because you, like you said, it's like you have that big fight, that big dangerous fight. You win it, you're done, and then you have this kind of as a little checkout fight.
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm
like
going
Floyd did with Conor.
Exactly.
Floyd did it at the perfect time. Floyd fought Conor after all the real fights were done.
I can't get my head around it. My only kind of way of looking at it is that maybe Crawford genuinely doesn't want to maybe fight in May and would prefer the September date, but why would you? And it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's just so strange. And like me and you said, it's been a whole roller coaster of emotions. It's happened in 1 minute, it's not, and then we're hearing Jake Paul. You're just like, what is going on with? Are we getting it? Yes or no?
My issue with all of this is, and I feel sorry for Crawford in this one because Jake Paul versus Canelo is a bigger fight, unfortunately, for the non-hardcore boxing fans than Canelo Crawford. So Crawford's almost the biggest fight of Crawford's career, of his life, is almost now being looked down on because Canelo is going to fight Jake Paul. It'll
get completely overshadowed by that.
Completely
overshadowed by it. Crawford would be there ringside, and I guarantee you, like, he'd be just an afterthought. It would be.
I wonder if that's why they've had to press pause on it, because okay, we can announce Crawford Jake Paul, and everyone's like, oh my god, and then in 2 weeks' time they might announce Canelo Jake Paul, and everyone's like, oh wow,
yeah.
What, Crawford who? You almost get forgotten.
Possibly.
Do you know what I mean? So it's maybe a case of okay, let Canelo do his thing with Jake Paul. Then as soon as Canelo gets rid of Jake Paul in a second, then we say, okay, boom.
Yeah.
Canelo Crawford.
Literally, we put the brakes on Crawford Canelo. It's still there. The wheels are in motion, but way too soon to be announcing anything, planning or anything like that. It's going to get overshadowed completely. It's going to absolutely get tanked on by Jake Paul Canelo. Let them do their thing. Soon as that fight is over, Canelo Crawford in the ring, in a state, God knows, it'd probably be in a stadium, and then boom, all eyes. And you think about it like this: if say it's on Netflix, right, the views that will do, all those eyes will be on Canelo Crawford.
True. That's very true. Okay, true or false? Canelo Jake Paul happens.
I'm gonna say true.
Okay, another one. True or false? Canelo Jake Paul happens next.
True.
Wow.
I tell you. I say that almost feeling like just I can't explain. I say that feeling like I have to shiver when I say it.
Yeah, I will say this: the kahunas on Jake Paul.
Holy, yeah.
Like I know people are gonna say he's making hundreds of millions. He's a multi-millionaire already. Like it's one thing getting in there with faded champions, faded UFC guys, Mike Tyson who was in a wheelchair a few months ago. There's another thing getting in there with a killer, because Canelo, if Canelo takes this seriously, I mean, trains like he should train. And comes in a nice weight, light heavyweight, whatever, he could get rid of Canelo. And I said this the other day, and some people shut me down. I said Canelo could get rid of him in a minute.
Oh yeah,
like literally, you go up to him and just show him a combination he's never seen before.
Exactly.
A minute.
Those guys he's been fighting, even now, look, he could have picked an easier way to make money than boxing.
True.
He can go down loads of other avenues that don't involve getting punched in the face.
Very true.
But he's doing it, so credit to him for that. But Canelo would do a combination that none of the people he's fought could even dream to do. Boom, it's over.
What's a nightmare for real boxing fans in this fight? Like, if Jake Paul goes more than 5 rounds, is it a nightmare?
I would say if he goes more than 5 rounds, and we dare even say, could he have nicked that round?
Oh
that's one. Not even did he win that round. It's like, could he actually maybe have say that he nicked that round? That's a disaster.
The fight, I'm guessing, will be on Netflix, right? I mean, I can't believe we're talking about it, but let's just play hypotheticals. If this was a pay-per-view event, old school HBO pay-per-view, how many pay-per-view buyers does Jake Paul Canelo get?
Well over 1 million.
Oh yeah, well over.
Yeah, well over. The question is, could it break the 2 million?
Yeah.
Could it break? I reckon it probably could.
Crazy.
That's insanity.
You've got to rate Jake Paul, you know, because I'm not going to lie. When he mentioned Canelo's name 7 months ago, I kind of laughed. Like, this guy crazy. And now we're having a legit conversation at Gman about it happening next.
I don't think either of us did a video on it, because we were just like, you mentioned Canelo. You do that. And yeah, now we're here. We are actually talking about it legit happening.
Honestly, my respect and credit for Jake Paul to even get into a position where Canelo's come into the table. I mean, again, 4 or 5 years ago, this guy fought KSI's younger brother, Deji. And now we're talking about him fighting Canelo, pound for pound, number 5 or 6.
At worst, he's in the top, like, 6, 7, pound for pound in the world, and that's who you're fighting.
I wonder what weight... I can't believe I'm talking about this. I wonder what weight it happens at. I mean, his last fight was over 200 pounds because he fought Mike Tyson. Canelo's a 168 guy. Yeah. Canelo could walk in whatever he wants.
He could come in at, like, he could weigh in his just normal rehydration weight, and then it's still, you're not going to worry about weight. I reckon it'd probably be about 190, 195, there or thereabouts. Just for Canelo and he wouldn't even weigh in any close to that. He'd probably weigh 185 or something like that. And it would literally just be a case of, right, what do I want to do? Do I want to go around? Do I want to go 2 rounds? Do I want to go 5 minutes? It's when I want to end it. That's it.
Sparring session.
That's it.
Probably bigger gloves, all the rest. Okay, does that shut the door? Final one on this. Does that shut the door then on us taking Canelo serious as a 168-pound champion?
I don't think.
Because he's not fighting the next man up, is he?
No, he's not. And I don't think you can't not take him serious because of what he's achieved and what he's done. But at this point, you kind of look and say, well, should you really... Listen, if you're not going to defend these titles... Exactly what I was going to say. If you're not defending these and you're fighting a 154-pounder and you're fighting a YouTuber, like, really, do you need these belts? Can we not, like, split them? Because you're not going to defend them, most likely, against any mandatory.
I have to kind of look at the rankings again, but I don't think Munguia was ever ranked as mandatory, nor was Belanga.
Skull was the only mandatory, and he gave that up.
He gave that belt up. And now we're talking Jake Paul Crawford. So I'm sorry, you need to start giving belts back.
So whoever it is mandatory would say the WBC, WBA, just give it up because they're not going to get their fight.
Yeah, I mean, they should have Pacheco fight Belanga for a belt.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Let these guys, Caleb Plant fight someone, Mbili for a belt. Let these real fighters that want to fight, I say that, no disrespect to Canelo, but let these guys that want to fight the next man up fight each other.
Yeah, don't hold the division up.
Completely.
Because these guys, what are they actually fighting for? They're not going to get a Canelo shot. So when you look at someone like Christian Pacheco, who's a great fighter, you're like, what are you actually fighting for? Because you're not going to get a Canelo fight. You're not going to get... He's on his way out. He's on his victory lap.
Yeah, that dream everyone has of fighting Canelo, forget about it.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Let's forget about it. Ain't happening. Now. Move on and start focusing on becoming your own star like David Benavidez. All right, guys, there you go. We've talked about Canelo, Crawford and Jake Paul, which is strange. Final one, very quickly on Crawford. Does he have an interim fight?
I don't think he does.
You think he just sits out September?
I think he just sits out September.
Okay.
I think he just sits out September because who do you get that's going to pay him crazy money that he wants who's not dangerous?
Yeah.
Because he will not want to risk anything.
Yeah.
If he knows he's fighting.
Yeah, if it's secretly on, but it's off and you know you're going to get your 80 million or so, I don't know what the number is going to be, to fight Canelo, 40 million, let's be realistic. You wait to get that 40 million.
You are not going to take a risk.
You do not dare. At 38, risk an injury, a cut, dare say getting chinned. You don't want to do that. All right, let's move on from that. Let's talk about the heavyweights. I always like talking about the big boys. And we're going to, for the next sort of 20 minutes or so, talk about quite a few heavyweights. I want to start with AJ Bacoli. Ben Shalom came out. He was ringside for the Adam Azim fight alongside Martin Bacoli. Billy Nelson was there as well. And he was very loud and vocal in saying AJ Bacoli is signed for Africa in the summer against AJ. Eddie Hearns shut that down and said, what are you talking about? I feel like the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I don't think Ben Shalom just says that without knowing something.
I think Turkey had words and said some words to the effect of, I'd love to do AJ versus Bacoli in Africa. I think AJ could be up for it. I think Bacoli would as well. And Ben Shalom just took that as if, yeah, we've got it. It's in the bank. Whereas, that's probably Turkey just saying it in an isolated conversation to Ben Shalom. And he's went and said it to whoever. Whereas Eddie Hearn is like, what?
Yeah. Turkey is 100% definitely trying to push this Riyadh Season Africa or Ring Magazine Africa, I think it will be now. And I think he's probably looked at the landscape and thought, if it isn't Ngannou, who are the next two best? And the next best, well, not even next two, but the top choices will be AJ and Bacoli, without a shadow of a doubt.
And it would be epic.
Did it be enormous?
It would be that show. We talked about it last week, but I can't not talk about it. How incredible. Wherever in Africa it is, it would be just, it'd be incredible. It'd be like an African team winning the World Cup. Yeah. The streets would be just bedlam.
Yeah, it'll be bedlam. You've got two monsters. You've got AJ, who does visit Africa quite a lot, obviously Nigerian. You've got one Congolese, obviously Congolese being and Kinshasa, where Rumble in the Jungle was. So you've got that history there as well. I don't mind what Martin Bacoli's doing here. I think Martin Bacoli's smart. Look, AJ's in a position where he wants to fight Fury. And let's just play the game of saying Fury's retired and he's never coming back. Okay, who's going to fight AJ? Bacoli's trying to position himself as being the next man up. Obviously, he's got to get past F.A. Jagba, but I think what he's doing now, he's almost becoming the people's choice. Yeah. Like now, a lot of people are saying, AJ Bacoli. I've got to see AJ Bacoli. So Bacoli's done quite well here.
It's funny because the two names you hear so much about now that Fury is quote-unquote retired is AJ Wilder, and people are like, no, I want Bacoli. If you'd said like a year ago AJ Wilder, even before he lost to Zhang, let's do Wilder. Now it's just like, no, we want Bacoli. We want Bacoli.
Yeah. I do wonder what AJ wants. I wish I could sort of read his mind and go into that brain of, okay, AJ, what do you want to do next? I think he would still say Fury. I think he's still adamant he can get Fury out of this retirement and they're going to have this fight in women. And I still believe, hand on my heart, I think that's going to happen. But if not, the options, and me and you did this last week, I'll do Dubois, rematch. If Dubois beats Parker, Wilder, who's got a fight coming up, if he comes through, Jarrell Miller, Bacoli. In terms of legacy, I think the Bacoli one is massive. AJ's become world champion. He's done that route already. Surely it's fun fights now. And I know Bacoli's super risky, but I think Bacoli in Africa is enormous.
Bacoli in Africa, someone who is as dangerous as Martin Bacoli. He beat Wilder. What real credit do you get? You beat a guy who comes off 2 losses and he beat Curtis Harper, of all people. Dubois is going to go down the Usyk road. So, you know, you're looking at guys like Zille. He's not going to...
Zhang Caballero doesn't even excite me.
Doesn't excite anyone.
It doesn't excite me at all.
You know, so you look at Bacoli, and if you imagine they fight in, say they bring it Rumble in the Jungle too, him against Bacoli and CHSORA, and say AJ wins.
Oh, that's it.
That is literally...
You could go out on a high. AJ's got 2 choices. They go out on a high, or then we definitely get excited about AJ versus Fury. Because you're like, oh my God, AJ's back.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean? We're like, AJ's back. So the risk reward here is massive. The risk is enormous. But the reward, if you were to beat a Bacoli,
and just think how that would do for his confidence. Like I talked about it last week, and you made a great point. You're like, what would Dylan White do for AJ? Nothing. Beating a Bacoli, especially if it was in Africa, his confidence would be just through the roof.
It would be incredible. And I don't think AJ is scared of Bacoli.
No.
I don't think fighters think like that. Like, they're not like us. We start to think in terms of fear, and I think they look at money and what a fight does for them. So I think AJ would fight Bacoli. Is it risky? Of course it is. At this stage, anyone fighting Bacoli is risky, man. Bacoli could chin Usyk.
Exactly.
Yeah, Bacoli could chin. He's got that about him. But he's got slow feet, and he can also be chinned. I think we saw that against Michael Hunter. I know many moons ago, but we saw it. You can catch him. Look, I'd make Bacoli a favourite because Bacoli right now is fucking sky high.
Man.
But, I mean, if AJ wants a redemption arc, doesn't get bigger than this.
Well, one thing I would say is Bacoli's defense is not the strongest.
No, it isn't, dude.
Big Baby Anderson, if only he had really good punching power, then, man, that could have been a very, very different fight.
Yeah, and experience.
And
he lacked both.
He lacked
power, he lacked experience, and he lacked size.
Yeah.
Those are 3 things that AJ doesn't
Instead of moving, he just decided to fight fire with fire, which is just crazy. You're asking for trouble there. AJ will not do that. And AJ... Man, you do not. If Michael Hunter was rocking you, AJ's going to send you into space if you give him a chance.
Oh my Lord, it would be incredible. But let's see what happens, because I do think there's going to be an AJ announcement soon. I want to, on that AJ Bacoli theme, I just want to quickly talk about Usyk. Again, Usyk looks like he's going to wait for the winner of Dubois Parker. Turkey the other day, in his kind of dream fight scenario, said Moses Italma. I'm like, well, steady. Like, I'm on the Moses Italma hype train. I'm his biggest fan. I'm wearing Moses Italma boxers. But Moses Italma, Usyk, no.
You just, Italma is a tremendous talent. And I think he is going to do some of the things he's going to do. And we're going to be talking about him in 10 years. And he'll still be active. Yeah. We'll be saying, holy, you know what, this kid's amazing. No, do not put him in there against Usyk.
I don't even understand the thinking.
Neither do I.
Is it still the want for him to try and break Mike Tyson's record, which I think he's only got 3 months to do it? Is it still that?
He's got till May, but like that's just not going to happen.
You can damage him.
Oh, irreparably damage him.
You could damage him. Like Usyk, we're talking about as one of the greats, and Moses is just beaten Dempsey McKean and Marius Vac. I mean, let's build him properly. If we're not going to go for the record, which I think is a mistake anyway. They tried that with Huey Fury, and look what's happened to Huey, by the way.
Oh, man, yeah.
I mean, look what's happened to Huey.
He's looking awful lately.
Let's try and make him become a world champion. Let's just build him correct. There are so many good fights out there for him. He can literally put his feet up, get a cigar, and wait for all the top heavyweights to retire in the next 12 to 18 months, and he could be the ruler of this thing called boxing for the next decade.
Man, he can literally wait 2 years, do his own thing, fight whoever, keep learning. The landscape will have changed so much then. He can come in and just be like, I'll have all those belts and I'll keep all those belts.
Yeah, because I think he's got that much talent, but hopefully, because my fear with when Turkey says this type of stuff is that most times they happen.
They do.
Remember when Turkey said Jared Anderson and Bacoli, and I was around. It was me and about 8 journalists, and I'm not joking. I was kind of eating my food. I was like, what? And he looked at me and I was like, no, don't do that. And he was like, no. Like, and I was like, no, I'm telling you, Bacoli will damage him. And we have no idea how Anderson's going to react to that. I think he's got a fight coming up as well. But don't take it easy with these young fighters. One thing that Riyadh season is doing is maybe not building the fighters, because now everyone wants to fight on these rare season cards. The art of building fighters is what got Frankie's name.
Exactly.
Let Frank deal with Moses.
We want to build these fights. We want to give them tough opposition, but we don't want them biting off more than they can chew. Because there's a fine line between, right, here's a tough fight, but it's like, yeah. No, tough fight will be him fighting, say, a rematch with Charles Martin. Fighting Bacoli, that's just, no. Yeah. That's going to damage the kid. And I think it did.
Yeah, no, you're right. On Charles Martin versus Moses Atalma.
Man,
I think it'll be a good one. I don't mind that.
100%.
I don't mind. I think Charles Martin's called him out. I like it. You get experience, former world champion. Yes, the worst, maybe heavyweight world champion we've seen in years. Him and Bermain Stavern. No disrespect, guys, but it's true. So I don't mind a Charles Martin if he's got anything left versus a Moses. And Charles Martin will talk. He'll sell the fight. He will chirp a little bit the way Americans do. So I like that fight. All right, talking about someone that sells a fight, Derek Chisora.
Oh, there's no one better to sell a fight.
There's no one
He
better.
is going to have that co-op arena looking packed.
Dude, he is just sensational. I mean, there isn't a British Boxing Hall of Fame, which I think is a disgrace that they don't have it.
Actually.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? They don't have a British Boxing Hall of Fame.
How many great fighters have been here? Loads, hundreds.
Crazy, right? I mean, every British great has to try and get into the Hall of Fame, and not many get into the Hall of Fame. So there should be a British boxing one. If there is, and if there was, Chisora would be a first ballot British Boxing Hall of Fame.
No questions asked.
What a career. Like, this is fight number 49, and you go down his career, and Fury's on there. I mean, you can go way back. Sam Sexton, Danny Williams. Those are for the British kind of level fights. And then he moves on to the big ones. Vitaly Klitschko. Helenius, when Helenius was unbeaten European champion. Kubrat Pulev's on there.
Dylan White.
Agit Kabayel's on there. Dillian White's on there.
Carlos Takam.
Yeah. Alexander Usyk. Joseph Parker. Malik Scott. It's literally ridiculous, the amount of names this guy's fought. And I know some people will say, yeah, but he's lost them all. And he has lost a lot. He's lost 13. But the way he's reinvented himself from this Del Boy Chisora to War Chisora, now he's almost this jolly rogue Chisora. I think he's been fantastic.
I remember when AJ fought Dylan White, and that's nearly 10 years ago. Right? You had people saying then, oh, AJ Chisora, odds and mismatch Chisora's done. That's 10 years ago. And he's still main eventing and filling out the co-op 10 years later after people thought he was well and truly done. That is insanity.
It's true, you know. Every time you think, he's like a cat with the 9 lives thing.
More than 9 lives.
More than. Every time you think he's quite done. Like even this Joe Joyce one, I was like, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Joe's going to hurt him. Joe's too big. And he just knocked him down and then won the... Like, even when he knocked Joe down, I was like, what? How did you do this? And you know, it's funny because even the Usyk fights, I don't never necessarily believe this narrative. Everyone's like, he gave Usyk the toughest fight. Like when you line up and watch Usyk versus AJ and Usyk versus Fury, everyone's like, Chisora gave him the toughest one. I don't know if that's true, but that's what people say. I think he's been a fantastic servant for British boxing. I mean, you even have to go back to that Dusseldorf incident with David Hay. Man, how fantastic was that? And then
we still talk about that.
They fought with the cage in front of them, remember, for the face-off?
Yeah.
Upton Park.
There's another name we forget. Like, it's like we actually forget so many good names. Like, we go and list them off and then we're like, oh, yeah. And it's not like just a simple forget. It's like David Hay, Joe Joyce. This man has been... Honestly. He's been in there with everyone, and he's in there on Saturday against Otto Wallin. Last fight in the UK.
Yeah, I wish him the biggest amount of luck. I think this is a tougher fight than maybe people are thinking.
I do too.
Otto Wallin's a spoiler. He's a southpaw. He's pretty big as well. I think he's about 6'5", 6'6". He's a big guy. He had a fight after AJ. He knocked the guy out in a round. So hopefully, well, not hopefully because I want him to lose, but hopefully for Otto Wallin fans, the cobwebs are off.
How damaged.
Easy, you know?
He took a lot of shots against AJ.
He did.
He really, I mean, in 5 rounds, I know he didn't go down, but in 5 rounds, he took more punishment than a lot of fighters would do in 10, 12 rounds.
I don't know, you know. I mean, he's fighting someone that's taken a lot of punishment as well. I mean, I know Derek Chisora beat Joe Joyce, but he took some punishment in that fight as well. He did. The thing about Chisora, he looks knackered from the first minute. Like the first minute, his face has got Vaseline all over it. He looks like all of a sudden... He doesn't click into another gear. He clicks into like several other gears, and he will make you work for your money. Oh man! So I don't know if Otto's got that big punch in order to really end it all. If he hasn't, it's going to be a tough 12 rounds for Otto.
I don't think he has that big punch. And whenever he's fought pressure fighters, he's fought pressure fighters with 2 left feet. Chisora will be on you like a bad smell. Like that.
Yeah.
And we've seen fighters, we've seen southpaws. Remember when he fought a similar style, but he's not as tough. Remember when he fought Spilka?
Yep.
And he absolutely, he
that
knocked
right
him into another world.
Walloped Spilka. Walloped him. I think Spilka went down to cruiserweight and then went into MMA.
Yeah, man, he's done some weird things on that. But Wilder took him 9 rounds and took CHSORA. Boom, see you later.
Yeah. Do you think CHSORA wins?
I do.
Okay.
I think he wins.
Okay, let's move on from that then. If he does win, fight number 50, which is supposed to be his last fight. I still have reservations about this, by the way. I really do. Because if CHSORA wins against WALLIN and he's fantastic, and then he wins number 50, is he really going to call it quits? I don't know. Who is number 50?
Who is number 50?
He wants to fight in Africa. This is what CHSORA said. Hence why it's called The Last Dance for people that might not understand the name. The Last Dance is in the last fight over here in the UK. Who does he fight in Africa?
There's really only 2 names, and one of them is a trilogy fight with Dillian Whyte, and the other is a massive fight in Africa with Francis Ngannou.
That's it, isn't it?
That's literally it. And Riyadh
Wilder not a third one? No.
Do you know what? If I used to always think how dangerous that would be for CHSORA's health.
Same.
I'd pick him now. I would genuinely look at how I'm like. Do you know what? Wilder would absolutely fall apart against CHSORA at this point now. He'd never let that right hand go, and CHSORA would just pick him apart. I think.
Okay, what's the bigger fight? Okay, them's 3. Rank them in terms of order of size. What's the biggest one? I think Ngannou for me, but you.
No, I agree. I would go Wilder lowest. Imagine saying that in 2020. Wilder lowest.
Crazy.
Dillian Whyte, the history, the trilogy, everything, and then Ngannou.
Yeah, just because Ngannou is the African boxer, isn't it? I know.
And this is a fight that you would look at. You'd say like, mate, he fought Fury and Joshua back to back in his first 2 pro fights.
Yeah.
No one does that. This is one of the fights you'd look at and you think maybe he can.
He would hate CHSORA's style.
Oh, it would be awful.
I don't think you have to kind of be a supreme boxer in order to maneuver around CHSORA's swarming. You have to know what to do. You have to kind of know how to step back and land those shots. Someone on you like the way CHSORA will be on your chest. If you don't have boxing ability, but then again, Ngannou's so strong, you might be able to throw him off.
I was going to say, but CHSORA is a strong guy as well. I mean, I've never seen Usyk look as kind of shell-shocked with the strength of someone as he did in those first couple of rounds. And how would Ngannou? Ngannou's used to being able to manhandle these guys. CHSORA, he might be short, but he is a strong guy.
Yeah, good luck to CHSORA. It's a shame we didn't get Zach Parker, Willie Hutchinson.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It's a big
week
shame.
as well.
Massive. I know that's so. Like if you're Zach Parker and you've done the 8-9 week camp, and then a week out you hear that. I don't know if Zach's still on.
He's not. I was checking it last night. He's got. Surely they could have got someone in on short notice. Just a little run around.
Yeah, that's gutting because I said the other day on one of my videos that I think Zach is still rebuilding after the John Ryder defeat.
Yeah, he is.
And what I meant by that is because I know he's had a couple of wins since then, but John was a big fight.
Yeah.
And he needs another big fight, and Willie's a big fight now. Hutchinson versus Zach's a big fight. Zach now obviously is a light heavyweight. It's a shame. And Willie's got momentum behind him as well.
Man, he gave a good account of himself against Buatsi. He beat Craig Richards. This is a fight. This will put him back on the stage at Riyadh, or at the very least the ring shows.
Yeah, I wonder if he's got the same motivation for a Zach Parker. No, not disrespecting Zach here, but like Craig Richards was a massive fight, 5-on-5.
Underdog.
Enormous.
Underdog as well.
Yeah, underdog in that fight as well, as you say. Joshua Buatsi, underdog, Wembley Stadium, enormous show. Zach Parker, AO Arena.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Co-main event on it.
I was wondering if it's like, I feel a niggle, I'm not doing this.
I don't think so.
I hope not.
I don't think so, because surely you would think that, like, all right, I get this fight out of the way and it's another big payday Riyadh season or something. Surely you'd only pull out if you desperately had to. You couldn't.
Yeah, maybe.
But I was so upset because I was looking forward to that fight so much as well. It's a great fight.
A really good co-main, and it's a shame now because the card loses something.
That does.
It loses quite a lot for me. David Haye, the Haymaker.
We can't mention CHSORA without mentioning Haye.
It's just one. Yeah, it's right. I mean, they fought, and then Haye managed him. Best friends sometimes, not best friends. Weird. But Haye kind of teased the idea of a comeback. The way David Haye can only tease. And everyone's now starting to talk about Haye potentially wanting to come back. Obviously, Vladimir looks like he might come back and try and take on that George Foreman record as being the oldest heavyweight champion. David Haye now. I don't know if David Haye's selling us something, because David Haye likes to sell stuff, or he's actually really talking about coming back.
I really hope he's selling something. He did say it'll have boxing fans sobbing. Man, I love David Haye. Seeing him laid out, yeah, that'll have me sobbing. He's not wrong. Man, Tony Bellew, great achievement. But he ruptured his Achilles in the first fight. He looked a shell of himself in the second fight. That's 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
He's not going to get any better. He's not going to get better now.
100%. It can't get any better. And your body doesn't get stronger.
No.
You know, especially when you're older. I mean, if you rupture your Achilles when you're 20, okay, cool. In 7 years' time, it could fix. I'm sorry, David. I know you're a vegan and you eat the best food and live the best life. that Achilles would always go again.
And my guy was riddled with injuries before he fought Bellew.
Bicep,
shoulder, everything. God knows what else has happened. Big toe.
Yeah. Big toe indeed. So for you, David Haye doesn't.
Please don't. I'm hoping that this is just David Haye being David Haye, you know, for dramatic effect, or something will come and now I'm the brand ambassador for such and such and such. Okay, thank God. Please, no return. Okay,
final one with regards to heavyweights, Alexander Povetkin.
Oh, that was...
Dude, I know boxing has an issue with drugs, and it's an issue that seems to never go away. There's always a story and then another story and then another story. But this one might be one of the worst stories I've ever heard.
I couldn't believe what I was reading.
Yeah. What was it from 2014?
2014, they found Osterine apparently is what it was.
Yeah. And it was never...
It was never reported. They just kind of brushed it under the carpet. And
do you know how crazy that is? Because he lost in 2013 to Vladimir Klitschko. Mm-hmm. That was his first defeat. And it's almost as though, like, I'm just playing Hollywood in my head here. It's almost as though he thought, I'm too small and not big enough to beat these guys. Give me something.
Yeah.
And since then, he went on that run. I remember him knocking out Carlos Takam.
Yeah. Perez and around.
Yeah,
he was the first guy to stop Marius Vac. And that was before he meant to fight Wilder. We were all looking, thinking, oh my God, good luck to Deontay Wilder. And funny thing about
Wilder, I remember Wilder done a U-turn on fighting. I remember Wilder was going to go to Russia to fight him, and Wilder did a U-turn because they suspected something with Povetkin. Mm-hmm. Thank God Wilder did a U-turn because Wilder might have got knocked out in that fight. Obviously, he fought AJ in that time. He knocked out Dillian Whyte.
David Price.
Oh my God, that David
Price was
knockout.
horrible.
You know what? They said, like, all these fights for the last 10 years are going to be in old. So I think they're going to... That's not enough. He should be sued. Everyone that fought him should sue him. Oh. Like, if I'm Dillian Whyte, that knockout could have taken years off my career.
Exactly.
I'm suing you.
It's like, oh, we'll give you now officially you don't have that loss. Mate, you still got knocked out. You still got a concussion. Oh, that's not going to change it.
That changes nothing. And not only that, but Povetkin made millions in those fights. Millions. He should give all that money back.
The article said that from like when he failed his original test in 2016 to like the end of his career, that was his most lucrative in terms of money. It's like, how? And the worst he gets is a 4-year ban. He's already retired 4 years.
He's been retired for 4 years already.
And they'll null avoid his results.
Yeah, I remember the Michael Hunter fight where I thought Michael Hunter might have nicked it, but Povetkin got the win, and then Povetkin again. He's had so many big fights. I'm so disappointed because I was a big fan of Povetkin.
I loved him. I flipping
was a big
loved
fan.
watching him.
Technically, he was fantastic, hard as nails.
If you knew Povetkin was fighting, you watched.
Yeah.
You didn't care where it was. You watched. You knew this is going to be epic. And I think it's tainted it. It's his career now. You have to look over the last 10 years and say that whole 10-year run where you were one of the best in the world, that's completely tainted now.
I think, look, I mean, we love the sport of boxing, and there have been some high-profile problems. Obviously, Conor Benn, high-profile. Ryan Garcia, these are recent ones. CANELO, we can go back and back and back. If you are...
But this will go under the rug because it's not as high-profile as them.
It's not as
high... scandalous,
yes,
but it's not as high-profile.
Exactly. But it makes you kind of wonder... what is being covered up? Honestly, it makes you wonder what's being covered up in this sport of boxing.
Well,
am I watching what I'm watching? Yeah. Or in 10 years' time, am I going to be told you weren't watching what you thought? Do you know what I mean?
Like Lance Armstrong.
Weren't watching. Yeah, like the Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, where all that happens, you think it's amazing, and years later, you're like, oh, I can't look at that the same now. That is a good point, because I'm thinking, well, this happened a decade ago, and we're only knowing about it. We're only hearing about it now. You're like... what else is happening? Like, what
does it take? Does it take a death in the sport? Because as you say, he was viciously knocking out people.
He was.
Like, I mean,
really
honestly,
badly.
the Carlos Takam, Perez, and Dillian Whyte knockouts were some of the, at the time, the best knockouts I've seen. Now crazy. I look back at them and think they're the worst knockouts I've seen. This is what this guy was doing.
I'd hope it doesn't come to a death. I genuinely, truthfully, I really don't. But how do you stop it, though? And when stuff like this is getting covered up for 10 years, something as big as this. Think about this,
yeah. If you're a boxer coming through, right, yeah. I said, look at what you just said about Povetkin. Povetkin was on the juice, and he was his best, and made the most money he's ever made in his career. How is that a deterrent? Exactly. And then the deterrent is, okay, we're going to ban him for 4 years, even though he's been retired for 4 years. We're not going to ask for his money back. We're just going to null and void his results. What is the deterrent there? There should almost be a prison sentence.
But if you think about like this, no one cares about the null and void results, because people still consider, even though it's null and void, they're like, oh, Ryan Garcia beat Devin Haney.
Yeah.
You know, people still say. So they'll be just
I look at that Dillian Whyte knockout, and I'm like, my God, Povetkin knocked him out. So that's all you remember.
Yeah. And I read in the article, Povetkin, won't challenge it. Yeah, of course not going to challenge it, because nothing's happened to him. It's like, why would you challenge it? It's like, I don't care. I'm not going to fight again.
Yeah, yeah, it's not the greatest way to end the show, people, but
No,
it's not the greatest way, but it came up and I was honestly flabbergasted by it.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing when I read the article. I actually was Adam Cattrall from Fight Disciples, and he was on. I was like, "What's Adam talking about?" And I was like, "Oh," and then you read it, and your mind is just blown.
Yeah, my mind has been blown. Gman, another good episode in the book.
That's the best way to end it. Never mind a great episode.
It's another good
so
episode.
We leave it on a high in that sense.
We do. We leave it on a high. Honestly, look, it's great talking to you guys. The feedback from the last episode in the comment section was fantastic. We got so much more coming. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this one as well, and we'll see you next week on episode 3. The link to Gman's YouTube channel is in the description, so please find it, subscribe it. Great content. This guy does 2-3 videos a day, which is incredible. But we got loads more stuff, me and Gman, coming your way on this channel as well. So please subscribe, like, share, all the good stuff, and we'll see you next week.